Liv Morgan breaks silence after the Judgment Day betrays Finn Balor on WWE RAW. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I am Elena. Have a nice day. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Finn Balor was betrayed by the Judgment Day on WWE RAW. Liv Morgan broke her silence after she and the rest of her stablemates launched a brutal assault on Balor last week on the Red brand. Balor and JD McDonough were at ringside for Dominic Mysterio's Intercontinental Championship match against Penta. Balor was hesitant in helping Mysterio cheat, which led to him losing the title. This week, there was a heated exchange between Mysterio and Balor, leading to a brawl between the two. The rest of the Judgment Day decided to side with Mysterio. On her Instagram story, Morgan shared a one-word message after the Judgment Day betrayed Balor family. Wrote Morgan, JD McDonough blamed Finn Balor for the Judgment Day's betrayal. JD McDonough claimed on social media that the Judgment Day's actions on this week's Monday Night Raw were due to the choices made by Finn Balor. On Instagram, McDonough put Balor on notice by adding that the former Universal Champion always wanted to be the leader. He wrote, "What happened tonight was your choice, Finn. Nobody else's. You lied to all of us. You got an ego. You wanted to be the leader. That's never been what the Judgment Day is. My family, and if anybody, even you, dares to try to step on any of them, you get stomped out." McDonough and Balor have been close for years, with McDonough looking up to the veteran superstar as his mentor. The duo even held the WWE World Tag Team Championships twice as members of the Judgment Day. Balor is expected to feud with the Judgment Day now that he has been exiled from the faction. It remains to be seen what plans WWE has in store for him at WrestleMania 42. Liv Morgan has a brutal three-word response to Damian Priest after he reacts to Superstar's shocking Judgment Day exit. Liv Morgan had a response to Damian Priest, who had a reaction of his own to a top superstar's exit from the Judgment Day on Monday Night Raw. All she needed was 3 words to respond. For some context, this week's episode of RAW featured one of the most shocking moments of the year so far, as Finn Balor was officially kicked out of the Judgment Day. He was confronted by Dominic Mysterio, who believed he had a role to play in his Intercontinental title loss to Penta last week. Balor hit back by saying that Rey Mysterio was right and that Dominic was just a little in reply. Dominic shoved him and Balor hit a Pele kick. Things escalated, and JD McDonough tried to intervene and de-escalate the situation, but he surpassed McDonough to hit the sling blade. In retaliation, McDonough attacked Balor and turned on him, leading to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez getting their shots in as well. Balor's nearly 4-year run with the Judgment Day has now come to an end. Damian Priest was unsurprisingly unsympathetic about the situation, asking how it felt. Liv Morgan responded by saying, "You would know," which was a brutal reference to a painful time in Damian Priest's career when he was betrayed and kicked out of the Judgment Day. For those who don't know, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley's exit from the Judgment Day happened hours apart at SummerSlam 2024. Ripley lost her Women's World title match to Liv Morgan thanks to the betrayal of Dominic Mysterio. Moments later, Damian Priest came furiously crashing into the clubhouse to demand Dominic's presence and asked Finn Balor if he knew anything about it. Balor assured him that he didn't. But this turned out to be a lie, as he would directly cost Priest his world title against Gunther that same evening. Liv Morgan's interference costs Raquel Rodriguez huge opportunity on WWE RAW. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are statistically the most successful tag team in WWE history, having won the Women's Tag Team Championship on 4 separate occasions. They have been by each other's side for the last few years, but it seems like they might be headed towards a collision course. Both Morgan and Raquel are looking to achieve their singles ambitions. Morgan cost Raquel an opportunity at the World Championship by eliminating her from the Royal Rumble, before trying to help her defeat Stephanie Vaquer on the Raw after the Rumble, but ultimately cost Raquel the match. Raquel Rodriguez loses another opportunity at a WWE title. Tonight, something similar happened for the Judgment Day duo, as Raquel competed in a gauntlet to become the #1 contender for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Raquel came out at #2 and dominated against anoa'i Sky almost the entire time she was in the match. However, at one point, it seemed like Sky would get the win as he headed for her finisher. Liv Morgan came to Raquel's help as she distracted Sky, allowing Raquel time to recover. However, Liv was then chased away by Stephanie Vaquer, which distracted Rodriguez. IYO took advantage of the situation and rolled Raquel up to eliminate her from the match. WWE star kicked out of Judgment Day. A WWE star looks to have been kicked out of the Judgment Day faction during tonight's March 9th episode of Raw. There has been tension brewing within the Judgment Day upwards of a year now, specifically between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. Tonight on WWE RAW. After Balor refused to help Mysterio last week, which caused Mysterio to lose his Intercontinental title to Penta. Mysterio, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez all came out to the ring. Mysterio called out Balor, which led to both Balor and JD McDonough coming out. It wasn't long before things got heated, and eventually Balor and Mysterio came to blows. As it looked like Balor had the upper hand, McDonough stepped in and took out Balor, making it clear that his affiliation lies with Mysterio, Morgan, and Rodriguez. All four of them then ambushed Balor, who is now a clear babyface, which is something that had been teased for the past few months. Absent from all of this was the other member of Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez, who has been off WWE TV for a few weeks after undergoing surgery to remove a benign mass from her back, so it remains to be seen where Judgment Day is fine, without Finn Balor as former champ kicked out in shocking betrayal. It is hard to believe that this iteration of Judgment Day, founded in 2024, is WWE's longest-running non-bloodline-related faction. It's even harder to believe that the group's origins go back 4 years. Since 2022, there has been some form of Judgment Day in WWE, and while there have long been rumors that the group would go their separate ways, it seems that may be premature. It looks like continuing into 2026, there will be an iteration of Judgment Day. But for the first time in 4 years, JD McDonough turns on mentor, lays final nail in coffin of Finn Balor. After Finn Balor refused to allow JD McDonough to aid Dominic Mysterio in his Intercontinental Championship defense against Penta last week, it seemed it was only a matter of time until things came to a head. McDonough wanted to give Mysterio the bell hammer, but his mentor wouldn't let him. McDonough has seemed to be in the middle of Balor and Mysterio's ongoing issues ever since he returned from injury. One would have assumed McDonough would have sided with the man who trained him and with whom after an incensed Mysterio walked into the clubhouse on Monday, he was met by McDonough, who said he'd help the former champ find Balor. Raw went to commercial, and Mysterio, accompanied by Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, made his way to the ring to confront his faction mate. Mysterio said he wanted to air this out in private, but Balor was making that impossible, so he called him to the ring. Finn Balor entered, joined by McDonough. Mysterio demanded to know if Balor made things right by going to Adam Pearce to grant him his rematch for the title because he'd still be champion if it weren't for Balor. To his credit, Balor admitted Mysterio was right, but he was just trying to help the man and teach him a lesson. Judgment Day is a family, and they'll always back Mysterio. But Balor said Mysterio needs to learn to fight his own battles, especially if he wants to be considered the greatest Mysterio of all time. If he doesn't, well then, maybe Rey Mysterio was right about his spoiled little Judgment Day survives, for now. WWE has been teasing dissension in the Judgment Day for what feels like a year now, starting back when Dominic Mysterio first won the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 41. Mysterio and Balor found themselves fighting over the same prize, as it seemed Balor would turn on Dirty Dom back then. He didn't, and ultimately ended up playing the part of the loyal soldier. Though he didn't hide his actions to replace Morgan with Roxanne Perez when she was injured. With both McDonough and Morgan back from injury, it looked this time as if Morgan and Rodriguez's issues would lead to the faction's split. Even that got resolved with Rodriguez seemingly giving up on her own world title pursuit. Son. Mysterio and Balor got into it, but things quickly turned into a 3-on-1 as Morgan and Rodriguez joined the fray. McDonough was quick to follow as he held Balor in position against the ropes for Mysterio to hit his bell hammer aided 619. Mysterio followed with a frog splash before McDonough laid into Balor with a steel chair over and again before Mysterio hit a second splash. With the chair still on, Finn Balor Raquel Rodriguez snaps. After Liv Morgan costs her gauntlet match, on WWE RAW featured the women's number 1 Contenders Gauntlet match, which included Raquel Rodriguez, Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, Asuka, Bayley, and Ivy Neely. Raquel Rodriguez, who has been without a WWE title for a long time now, was quite upset with the way she was eliminated from the match. The gauntlet match was held to decide the next challenger for AJ Lee's Women's Intercontinental Championship. The match started with Valkyria and Sky. Both women traded quick moves, counters, and high-flying attacks. In the end, Sky gained control after stopping Valkyria's Nightwing attempt and finishing her with the over-the-moonsault to get the first elimination. Things changed when Raquel Rodriguez entered the match next. Raquel Rodriguez attacks 1YO Sky after costly distraction on WWE RAW. Rodriguez used her strength to slow the pace and overpower Sky. She controlled most of the match with strong offense, including a big clothesline outside the ring and a slingshot corkscrew elbow drop that almost ended the match. Even with Rodriguez dominating, Sky refused to give up. She fought back with a top rope Hurricane Rana and a missile dropkick. Just as Sky was about to attempt another move from the top rope, Liv Morgan ran to the ringside to interfere. It looked like she was trying to help Rodriguez win. But the plan didn't work. The referee tried to get rid of Morgan as she tried to distract Sky. Just then, Stephanie Vacker ran out and attacked Morgan, and the two started fighting on the entrance ramp. While the chaos was happening outside the ring, Sky took advantage inside. She quickly hit Rodriguez with a crossbody and rolled her into an inside cradle. The sudden move surprised Rodriguez, and the referee counted to 3. Rodriguez was eliminated, and it made her furious. Right after the bell rang, she charged at Sky and hit her with a big boot that knocked her over the top rope. The attack continued outside the ring, where Rodriguez threw Sky face first into the ring post. But she wasn't done yet. Rodriguez then lifted Sky and slammed her onto the ring apron with a powerful Tejana bomb. The WWE officials and referees had to rush out to stop the attack. Rodriguez was eventually escorted backstage, but the damage had already been done. As Sky was hurt from the assault, Ivy Nile quickly ran in and pinned her to get the next